So Richard, yeah, so you were doing Rich Planet TV and the Starship and so forth, and the other thing which I was very impressed with when I watched it was the 7-7. You'd done quite a series of that with Dr. Nick Colostrum and so forth.
Yes, I've not made any film about 7-7. I have interviewed Dr. Nick Colostrum, done 2 lengthy interviews with him, or more than 2, and also I covered the story of Muad'dib, Anthony John Hill. Now, he made a film about the London bombings, the 7-7 ripple effect, now 7-7 ripple effect 2. If you want to watch it, go online and watch it. Very fact-based documentary about the London bombings, and it provides a credible narrative of what really did happen. And I think, as Nick Colostrum has pointed out, that was why that film was so dangerous, because it wasn't just picking holes in the official story, it was telling you what probably happened and how the 4 young Muslim lads were coached to become patsies. They thought they were taking part in a terrorist training exercise, and they were eventually murdered.
And I think that's just, make a point there that some of these researchers that actually will show you what actually happened, rather than just saying the official story can't be true, they are more targeted, because if they've actually worked out what has happened, that makes them more dangerous. We can say the same for Dr. Judy Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you went to see him, and he was he was in prison at.
Well, what happened was there was obviously the 4 alleged bombers. There was no trial because they're all dead. Now, in order to bring some gravity to them being guilty, they arrested some of their friends to say, oh, well, you must have helped them. So these friends were on trial, and the judge said to the court, well, obviously, the 4 previous guys, we know that they were all guilty. A completely false statement that he said to the court, right? So Anthony John Hill, he'd made this film about the London bombings, and he thought, well, this judge needs to know the truth. So he sent a copy of his film to the judge, to the court, marked for the judge's attention, and another copy to the jury foreman, right? The jury never saw the film, right? I don't think the jury foreman saw the film. He gets a knock on his door, right? You're being arrested under a European arrest warrant because he lived in Ireland, and he gets extradited, and he spends over 150 days in prison awaiting trial while the phony inquest is going on. So they wanted him behind bars, even though he was found completely innocent of all charges. So when that, because he spent time in prison in Ireland as well for a number of weeks, when they first went to his house, and then he was let out, and then there was the extradition hearing. So I went to Ireland, to Dublin, to meet him and interview him. No one had really covered his story, and when I first met him, he didn't want to go on camera. He didn't want his face on camera due to his own personal beliefs, his religious beliefs. Let's call it that, religious beliefs. So I had to kind of have a conversation with him and say, look, in order to put your story across, if you're in shadow, because that's what he suggested, I said, it's not going to look good. So we discussed it anyway, and put his story across. I went to the inquest, or the hearing, the extradition hearing, and you could hear a pin drop in the court, and all of his supporters were there, so they're trying to get him extradited to Britain to stand trial for supposedly perverting the course of justice, because he sent a DVD to a court in the UK. And the judge asked him to speak, and he had a copy of the Bible in his hand, and he held it up to the court, and he said to the judge, you have a statue of Moses on top of this court. This is his book. In other words, this is the book that Moses was given by God, right? This is the law I follow. Can you tell me, Judge, what law have I broken in this book? That you have a statue of Moses on top of this building that I'm in on trial for extradition. And the judge didn't know what to say. And he got sent down, and I realised then that, that was quite a moment for me, seeing that there was no justice there. And I shouted something out, and then his supporters started shouting stuff out, and he just went down to the cells.
Crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, and I came back to Dublin or Ireland and interviewed him again after he got out of prison in Wandsworth Prison. Oh, I went to see him in Wandsworth Prison as well. the BBC were asking you to take part in their Conspiracy Files programme.
7/7, yes. Conspiracy Files 7/7.
You gave them conditions for appearing in their documentary about 7/7.
Yes.
Just spell out what those conditions were.
I agreed to take part in their programme with 2 conditions. The first condition was that they would show my film unedited, the film 7/7 Ripple Effect, unedited on primetime television. Okay, and the second condition that I gave them was that I would have final editing rights on their Conspiracy Files 7/7 programme before it went out, because I don't trust the BBC.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Now, once you'd said, these are my conditions, and they obviously weren't happy with that, they wouldn't agree to that.
No, they refused to agree.
They then actually came over to Ireland to try and get you on camera to basically try and debunk you. And we'll just take a look at the clip when they've approached you in Ireland.
Ireland. The search for the man behind 7/7 Ripple Effect has brought us here. From the town of Kells, Muad'dib has waged a propaganda war to win Britain over to his distorted vision of reality. We can reveal Muad'dib is John Hill from Sheffield.
John Hill, BBC Conspiracy Files. Can I ask you why you've made a film accusing innocent people of mass murder on 7/7 with no evidence at all? Can I ask you why you're ignoring the huge weight of evidence against the 4 men blamed for the 7/7 bombings? You have made a film which is damaging trust in the British government and is undermining community cohesion in Britain. Is that your intention, Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill, why do you hide behind the name Muad'dib?
Taking his name from a science fiction film, Muad'dib, John Hill believes the Ark of the Covenant is buried nearby under the hill of Tara.
Okay, so that's the BBC tactics at work there. And,
despicable.
Despicable. Now,
can I just point out why I didn't answer them on camera when they tried to trap me?
Yeah.
First of all, the questions that they asked were beneath contempt, and absolutely evil, loaded questions, and there is no way that, you know, I treated them with the contempt that they deserved. I ignored them and walked past them. But the other reason also was the fact that I had categorically refused to cooperate with them because they would not meet my conditions. So that is why I walked through them and didn't answer any of the questions, because I'd already told them months in advance that unless they met my conditions, I would not take part in their program. And then they, against my wishes, they had come to Ireland and they had stalked everything.
Well, actually, I've come to Ireland to stalk Muad'dib, so here's my version of the hit piece. The search for the man behind 7/7 Ripple Effect has brought us here, to the town of Kells. So we're going to do exactly what the BBC did. We're going to wait outside his house until he comes out the door, and then we're going to pounce on him. John Hill, Rich Planet Conspiracy Files. Can I ask why you have made a film accusing guilty people of mass murder on 7/7 with lots of evidence? Can I ask why you have highlighted the huge weight of evidence that proves the 4 men blamed for the 7/7 bombings were innocent? You have made a film which is damaging what little trust is left in the British government and is promoting community cohesion in Britain. Is that your intention, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
If you want to see his film 7/7 Ripple Effect 2, when he has made a number of other films.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so that again was quite a sort of big part of some of the, you know, Rich Planet series, wasn't it? And I think also you used that in this Tell Your MP About 7/7 campaign, didn't you? You encouraged people to send copies to their MP and stuff. And,
that was...
and I think that had a bit of an impact, didn't it? Because there were a couple of MPs that did strange things, and weren't there?
Yeah, so this was 2012. I was encouraging people, because when you go to your MP, if it's an issue that's not in their constituency, or if you don't live in that constituency, they show you the door. So my idea was to get people in constituencies all around the UK going to their MP to enlighten them about the London bombings. Because the evidence is fairly clear if you actually take time to look at it. It's not been reported in the media, but I wanted people to give that to their MPs, and I managed to get over 100 people doing that. And I did get feedback from one Scottish MP who said that he was most interested in the information and then he would do something to help. I'm not aware that he did anything, but so it was being discussed, and I do think that, because I've got about half a dozen letters which came from the character James Brokenshire, who's the UK security minister. And I think he's a key figure in all this, because a lot of the letters that the MPs wrote to ask the government about the London bombings, he was the one who was replying to them all, and he's still in office now. So he's a name to watch. He must know, that guy.
Yeah.
He's not an old guy. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably youngish. He's probably about 50 something now. But I think he's their safe pair of hands to just rebut. Here's the inquest papers, go and look at that. Here's the inquest papers, go and look at that.
I remember writing to one MP or something back in 2005 about 9/11, and I got this letter back from the Counter-Terrorism Policy Office, and I said to them, you know, the official story of 9/11 doesn't stack up, and they wrote back and said, we are aware of other theories, but we just stand by what's in the 9/11 Commission report, so that's all we're going to say. So they weren't disagreeing with me or criticising the alternative explanations. They were just saying they follow the narrative that's been given to them, you know, and it's the same. That's how it works. Once they have got a narrative which is rubber stamped by the government, they'll just follow that, even if some of them, you know that it's wrong.
Didn't you write to the police as well, and they came to your house?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, they did. I wrote to the police and all chief police officers. Chief constables, I wrote to them in end of 2008, basically giving them a summary of the Dr. Judy Wood material and what we'd been doing with that. And then, in February 2009, I got a visit from two people that claimed to be from the police, and had a chat with them for about 10 minutes, and sent them off with a couple of DVDs. You know, they were quite polite, they weren't hostile or anything, and I wasn't either. So yeah, there are people there that they know that the official narratives aren't true, but they're tasked with keeping them in place, and keeping them in the forefront of people's minds. So yeah, and then just to go on to that a little bit, because you've provided us with great support for the Dr. Judy Wood, Where Did the Towers Go book, and certainly through Rich Planet, I think it's probably in the UK where we've had the most book sales and so forth, and you've taken them on the tours, and so that has been, I think, certainly as far as I can tell, a hugely important factor in raising the awareness of the truth about 9/11 in the UK. You've played a key role in that. And then again, on top of that, you did the 3D analysis, which you revised last year based on some sort of revised evidence or analysis of the evidence. So that also is very important. And I think I'll just mention here very briefly that we did the program with Mark Conlon about the video fakery being promoted, and that, since we did that program a few weeks ago now, Mark Conlon has had his YouTube channel deleted, he has his Google account deleted, and he's had to re-upload some of his own videos because we feel, while that's happened, he feels, and I agree with him, that they wanted to keep this video fakery going in terms of fake planes being done with CGI, whereas we were tending towards the conclusion, much based on your research, that it was some type of image projection that we used. In other words, real video of a fake plane, as you said, rather than fake video of a normal plane. So that again is, I think, is a key area of research that's rattled a few cages in the powers that be. So again, I think Rich Planet has found itself right in the midst of all of that, and there's still a couple of things we haven't got to yet.
Ever been in a position to move against it has either ended up dead or disappeared.
We know that these people act in the name of Islam.
Four powerful bombs left people dead.
9:30 this morning, we were actually running an exercise based on simultaneous bombs going off precisely at the railway stations that happened this morning.
The games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the city of London.
This gets clarified and resolved at the inquest. At the inquest, we've got 3 major holes in the floor.
You wouldn't make 3 holes in the floor.
Certainly not. A bomb, a blast underneath the train. That's the key thing.